Mayor, we're live.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is Isle Palm City Council, this is a special city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 5th at 6 p.m. This is a virtual meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'd like to call this meeting to order and acknowledge that both the press and the public were duly notified due to the Freedom of Information Act. This meeting is the announcement and appointments to standing committees for 2021. If y'all can believe that, 2021. I'm so glad 2020 is gone. So, going to our appointments. Public safety. Yes, roll call.
Okay. Councilmember Ward,
Here.
Councilmember Bell,
Here.
Councilmember Popson,
Here.
Councilmember Moy,
Here.
Councilmember Streetman,
Here.
Councilmember Pounds,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Buchanan,
Here.
Mayor Carroll,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. Nicole, after watching the committee meetings and the length of them, I said, I've got to beat them. You know, there's just no way. So,
You can't be, what did we do? Personnel was only 9 minutes this morning, so.
forget that. That's not gonna All right, back to our purpose. It's the announcement of appointments to standing committees for 2021. Under public safety, we have Jimmy Ward, Philip Pounds, and Randy Bell. Under public works, we have Rusty Streetman, Susan Hill Smith, and Jimmy Ward. Under recreation, we have Susan Hill Smith, Ryan Buchanan, and Philip Pound. Under personnel, we have John Moy, Ryan Buchanan, and Randy Bell. And lastly, under real property, we have Kevin Popson, Rusty Streetman, and John Moy. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, may we have? Yes, ma'am.
We don't need a motion and a vote because these have been already voted on December. This meeting is just for an announcement. Since the membership doesn't change, a motion to approve is not necessary.
Thank you very much for keeping me straight. That's a tough job to keep me straight. Okay, moving on.
If you don't mind, whoever made the motion to,
I'll withdraw the motion. And I withdraw the second.
okay.
Okay, we're all straight now. B, announcement of appointment to the Carter Board of Directors, Jimmy Ward. C, announcement of appointment to the Charleston Visitors Bureau, John Moy. D, announcement of appointment to the Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester Council of Governments, Philip Pounds. Moving on, announcement of appointments to boards and commissions. Under the Planning Commission, the 2-year terms expire 12/31/22. David Cohen, Stephen Corney, and Sandy Stone. Under the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, 3-year terms expire 12/31/23. Ray Burns, Julie Spell, and Douglas Tressler. And under the Board of Zoning Appeals, a 3-year term expiring on the 12/31/2023 is Brian Abel. Next on the agenda is F, announcement of the city attorney, Jim Hinchy. And then we have to consider an extension of the emergency ordinance 2020-01, emergency ordinance to extend and alter the COVID-19 response protocol.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to extend the emergency ordinance for COVID protocol for 60 days.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
One question.
Councilmember Streetman.
So we go back to the original parking plan we had in place on Palm. So that includes parallel parking on the land side of Palm?
Yes, sir. Actually, nothing changes what we've been doing.
Okay, so nothing changes from what we already had in place before. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Correct.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
like, the only emergency ordinance that you're extending is the one that was approved in 2020, Emergency Ordinance 2020-14, which was approved on November 10th. The beach restrictions that were in place were lifted at that point, so there are no parking restrictions currently. That stays in place. The only thing that you're really extending with this emergency ordinance is the use of face coverings indoors. That's Emergency Ordinance 2020-10. That is extended for 60 days. Also, your ability to hold virtual meetings and council meetings virtually for another 60 days. Restaurants and businesses must continue to comply with the governor's emergency executive orders governing the indoor and outdoor dining. Rather than us changing it every time the governor issues a new executive order, we just make reference to that. And then also the allowing businesses to offer off-site dining options during the executive order.
So Desiree, over the period of time, the changes we made prior, all this is exactly duplicating our last emergency order.
Correct, extending that.
Yes, ma'am, for 60 days. Any other discussion? Yes, sir. Councilmember Buchanan.
Thanks. I don't have a problem with this. I was just wondering what the city's, plan is moving forward with in-person council meetings again. And when do we expect that to start happening? Or do you guys, Mayor, Administrator, has anybody had any conversation around that of when, or laying out a timeline for when this is going to occur? I know there are municipalities throughout the country that are doing it. So I just wasn't sure if you had a plan for it yet or not.
Brian, I wish we had an answer to that, and I guess we will make an answer to that. And, here we are with a special council meeting, and if we get to the point where we feel it's safe, we may have to have an emergency council meeting for that. But right now, as it stands, we are doing this virtually. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
We'll certainly accommodate whatever council decides to do once you all feel comfortable returning to in-person meetings. There are communities that, like you said, have resumed in-person meetings with following the CDC and the guidelines from DHEC on social distancing, the use of face coverings, and also, what's called a sneeze guard. So we've ordered the materials to allow us to have those divisions down at the dais. The only issue is if the city starts having indoor meetings, and if we accommodate the seating to allow social distancing and having people be seated at least 6 feet apart, we wouldn't have the opportunity to host more than about, I believe the count was 6 people. We would still be live streaming, of course. So we have the ability to return. It really just depends on y'all's comfort level of inviting and encouraging gatherings downstairs and indoors, particularly when the numbers have continued to increase.
And that's fine. I've just been getting a lot of questions about when people would be able to, when council was going to start meeting again. And nothing's coming through our emails, nothing's come across our desk about it. And I was just wondering if there was, what type of discussion the mayor and you have had, Desiree, with that, and where we would be. So that's good enough for me. Thanks.
Ryan, I'll come back to you in a second. Councilmember Hill Smith.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I heard Desiree correctly. Did you say 6 people? We would only be able to have an audience of 6 people?
Yeah,
60
no, not 60.
or 16, 6.
That's
pretty small.
If I recall the count that our fire inspector conducted when they measured the room correctly, and I'll go back and double check that and give you all the correct information, but I recall that being about 6. I know it was 10. And really, it depends on you all. We will execute the meeting safely as we deem appropriate, but it will depend on what the mayor's direction and council's direction about whether you all feel that you want to start having in-person meetings. We'll definitely accommodate to that.
Councilmember Streetman?
Yes, one thing, I certainly do not at some point have any problem with us going back to meeting in person as soon as we can. I know some other municipalities have done that, particularly ones that have larger meeting spaces. But one of the things that we need to keep in mind too, that the live streaming abilities or capabilities that we have at Isle of Palms seems to me to be sort of inferior, quite honestly. You can't really hear it very well. On Zoom, at least you can hear what we're saying and what we're discussing. When we have the live streaming like we've done before, early last year in the committee meetings and the council meetings, it was very, the audible was very low, very hard to understand. So we need to solve that problem also, and how we can get around that so that when we do eventually get back to meeting in person, that we have at least a platform in place that anyone that's watching us live streaming can hear us very clearly.
Anyone
That's it.
else? Thank you, Councilman Streetman. Anyone else? Councilmember Buchanan, just so you know, the very first day of our back to work, I met with Desiree and Ron, and we had that discussion. And, our days at the front there, we would be separating us and having 2 rows of council seats. And we'd have plastic partitions in between us. And then we have, Nicole and our city attorney, and then our 6-foot distancing. So when it talks about 6 people, that's really about where we're at. And then we got our department heads, and that's really what kind of takes up a lot of space. And we have probably one of the smaller council chambers of all the local municipalities. And I don't say that in any kind of derogatory way. I like our council chambers, but it is what it is. And I do think, as per Councilmember Streetman just said, we are doing pretty well with the YouTube live streaming here. And I think a lot of people are watching this. But again, this is a council decision. And if y'all have got questions, please feel free to call me up at any time and we can discuss it. And I'm more than happy to put it out there for a full discussion for council, and we can call a special meeting for it, just for that one purpose, if that's what y'all want to do.
And that's fine, Mayor. I appreciate that. I've had people contact me and question what if we were, and we haven't had any discussion about it, and that's why I brought it up now, obviously. And so that's it. I mean, that satisfies me. It was just, and that we can pass that on to those, to other folks.
We're good. And of course, everybody hears us talking about it now, and they can go back and watch it at their own leisure at any time. So back to our motion for the extension. Nicole, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Bell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pounds,
Aye.
Councilmember Streetman,
Aye.
Councilmember Moy,
Aye.
Councilmember Popson,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Buchanan,
Aye.
Mayor Carroll,
Aye.
all in favor?
Thank you very much. Moving on, executive session. Guess what? Not needed tonight. Ryan, you want to keep the year going?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Off record is
Happy New
14.
Year, everybody.